All right, welcome everybody. As always, everything covered in this video is for educational purposes only. None of this is intended as any kind of investment advice. All right, so what I'm going to try to do here, folks, is do an all-time swing review of the market. It is July 21st, 2026. And I'm going to go through, this is the website, so if you're not familiar, this is the Print Chasers website. This is where we look at prints, specifically where orders get placed on either the ask or the bid, uh, essentially signaling market makers' intents when it comes to moves or future intentions for the prediction range of a stock. Now, what I'm going to go do is I have a couple hundred tickers. I won't go through all of them in this session. I'm going to maybe post this on a private YouTube video. So if you're getting this, shout out. And if you're going to watch it all the way through or even check out a few stocks, shout out. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Feel free to skip ahead to your stock. I'm going to try to do each one a little bit format the same. But I'm just going to go through ones that I find interesting. So I'm going to skip some. I might spend more time on others. And I also might switch pages. So if I find something particularly interesting, I'll switch pages. So with all of that introduction being said, I'm going to start out on the all-time swing page, and we're going to start out with AAOI. I don't know much about how this one trades, and I believe that I added it relatively late, so I added it in June. If we're looking at on-level, off-level, on-level doesn't look horrible. It's negative, a lot of things are negative. We went from 200, we're now 130. So this doesn't, excite me a ton, but it's also not the worst thing in the world. It's not just pure sell, right? There's some remnants of people holding it potentially. Looking at the volume profile, it does appear to be mostly sell heavy on this left side. The right side has a good amount of buy, more buy than sell, it appears, towards the spot price, which is about $120. That is the controlling prints only zone. If I go to including off levels, about the same. You get a good chunk of sell around 164. I'm guessing that would have been all of this area up here. But not bad. If we're talking about potential to come back up, maybe we would want to see a nice differential on the top in terms of a lot more ask prints towards the higher end of this volume profile than the lower end. But it's a good thing that we're seeing, distributed buy here as well. If we exclude above ask, that is what all of that looks like. This is the percent estimated in profit. This is essentially, my version of who's winning right now, bulls or bears. And it's pretty obvious right now. A lot of shorts are sitting pretty happy. I estimate as of today, roughly 60% of shorts are in profit during this time frame. Auction prints, looks like right away we got a pretty big sell. Nothing really significant or that looks like it's forward. Prediction level reputation map. This is kind of similar to volume profile. It has a lot of work to do. I don't have the best interpretation of it at the moment, so I'm going to skip over it. Looking at different phases, kind of slightly leaning accumulation. 3 straight days accumulation, even with the red day in there. That's very interesting. These are kind of just different, how many different kinds of prints are hitting in there. Again, ignore my Fortnite advertisements. I'm not entirely sure the best way to read this yet. But it does kind of show, forward returns on different kind of prints that have shown up in there. I guess these are kind of like a lean short signal. These ones are also a lean short. And it's just the kind of the ways that prints play out, essentially. And also considering things like the volume, the method that they print, where they print in the range. Um, Net flow, price divergence. Again, this is just looking for any time that like net flow is going up, but price is going down to make things simple. Um, Nothing really significant there. New dollar breaks. This just looks for where there's, anytime the new levels hit. Obviously, there's really nothing. This is just looking at how much of the daily volume I'm capturing with the prints, or what percentage of the total volume are over 1,000 shares. This is a catalyst timeline. This one's kind of interesting. I'm never gonna go through these. This is if you're a longer term kind of person of what kind of news came out. So, I guess for this, if you kind of hover over some of them, there should be some news points. Yeah, so I mean, there's just random news points on here and why something might have actually came up or not came up. Short positions, this is still estimating. I'm just kind of trying to track shorts, see if I can. I don't really know so far. It's very rudimentary. So yeah, that is AAOI. Not the most interesting stock at the moment. I know there's some people that are interested in it. The best thing about it is that net flow still it's not completely dead in terms of they're still buying at a lot of good levels. 160 did a lot of work to crush it, and honestly, under 160, it's still relatively selling, but it's not as bad as you might think. All right, next up, we're gonna go to Apple, and these pages do take a minute to load. It's because this page is very inclusive of a lot of different features, as you've seen through the first one. And honestly, I'm going to have to do a lot of revision. I think the next couple, if I do any more versions of these videos, if people like these, if people want more of them, that would be cool. I don't know. I think I'm going to try to trim down everything that's being included and not included because, yeah, some of this stuff doesn't mean anything even to me. So it definitely won't mean anything to you. Um, and if you have suggestions for things you want to see, I might go through, like I said, I might go through some other aspects here on the side here. I do like the levels page. All of these experimental ones are just for me. It's just things that I'm trying out. Uh, it's stuff that also I don't want to be not necessarily public, but I just don't want them to be out there. I guess this is public right now. Pretty much anybody with a single sign-on can sign in. So I just want to make sure that I'm aware of what the content is that I'm putting out there. But you guys don't care about that. So looking at Apple. I also forget that I have this on here. I have buy and sell clusters. This is just kind of like a time range visual for, I mean, it's mostly, right, when it's down, it's red, when it's up, it's green. It's not rocket science, but it's still looking for when there's significant buys or sells within there. Like, for example, I mean, these couple days were relatively up, but you're still getting selling right here. You're still getting selling. This is kind of interesting too. You see this couple days where we called it a sell cluster, and we got a nice little sell off from 300 to like 280, eventually down to whatever this is, 274. I'm realizing this might be too small, so I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. This also has level walls. I mean, it's just kind of what levels are reacting, what ones have a lot. 312 is an interesting wall in here. I mean, that's actually a really interesting one. It's 13 million prints there. We have 270, which 270 acted as, I don't know if that came in. Wow, actually, you know what? That probably didn't look like it hit on that pullback. That looks like a great wall there. That was a $16 million print wall. Print wall just meaning where did the prints land and how did they interact there. Or I guess, sorry, that was way too vague of a statement. Print wall is essentially, right, the net premium at a controlling level, and you're looking for it to be obviously heavily favored on one side or the other. And, the largest print walls are going to be the most dominant market makers that are going to have the largest influence on the trades. Looking at cumulative net positioning, I like to just start and just only do On level looks fantastic. On level for Apple looks beautiful. Um, it's mostly tracking the price, but it's also not going down. At least even during this dump, it really didn't go down at all. It's 5 million net cumulative shares. Let's check the off levels. Off levels, this is typical. This isn't unexpected to see big selling on the off levels. Um, I'm still learning, right? I'm still trying to figure out when and where the off levels have significance, because sometimes it seems like they do, sometimes it seems like they don't. But a lot of times on the stocks that I think end up not working out, they still also see this, right? It's very rare that you're gonna, I think, see a stock where off levels meaning prints that aren't at the 0.00 or 0.50 level. So pretty much everything else in between. Uh, and it is interesting, right? So obviously, my dad probably started here. But this right here is really interesting. It looks like that was probably, it was probably an auction print. I try to have this exclude auction print, so it's possible that it wasn't an auction print. But you can also see that it kind of, yeah, it's the scaling kind of helps out here, I think, a little bit. But like you can kind of see it fall off into this, which I think is really interesting. Um, Again, not really sure how to interpret that, but at the bottom we have 14.4. At the top we have 14.6 cumulative negative net shares. Um, Again, I'm not too concerned about the off levels here. I don't fully understand the off level dynamics, and I think a lot of it is just inventory shuffling kind of deal. Net per level looks decent in that the top, you know, top right side is all relatively for the most part, or it's strong on the ask. We're at the spot, right? And it's interesting that we have a lot of sell kind of down here. It's not surprising given that, we had this big sell off. This is also including all the off levels, actually, so that's an important detail. Yeah, wow, look at that. If we include only the controlling levels, that just looks fantastic from a long perspective, from an ask side perspective. 260, 300, we have whatever that is, 315. Great ask levels. The only one that's recent, this one is a little bit large. Let's take a look at it. Uh, this is all net too, so this isn't cumulative. So if I go net, it shows you a little bit too of the scale, right? Obviously, there's a lot more time spent down here in the 260 area as opposed to these, over 300. I like excluding above the ask and below the bid. I think that it shows a little bit more true colors. I really don't know. I'm just going off of my experience. But if you hit exclude above ask and below the bid, it looks even more extremely favored in the uh, ask direction. What's interesting about it, I just like the shapes of these. I think there's something to the shape of these profiles. It kind of looks just like a circle, like a little bell curve almost. And then the bid side does not have a similar pattern, and it almost, I know that this is net, so if we go net, or take away net, this almost just looks kind of staggered. This looks like there's no plan on the selling, whereas the ask, I don't really know. I'm just kind of making that up, but there's a shape that you can kind of see there. Either way, controlling levels only looks great. Um, Obviously, right now we're assuming 97% or pretty close to 100% of longs are in profit. Of course, that's going to be the case when we're at all-time highs. This is, I don't know necessarily the trailing uh, value on it, but I'm going to assume that it's this past year. And, a lot of this past year we had a good amount of shorts, and it looks like a good amount of shorts were winning. But when we had that flip, that's really when things started, about 280. Almost flipped. Actually, it might have flipped here barely in June 25th at the bottom, and then of course now we're back to all-time highs. Auction prints for something like Apple, I don't think there's any use in even thinking about auction prints. Just my opinion. Level reputation, again, this is one of those things. I might be trying too hard. It's just what levels are important. I think if you really care about the levels, try out the levels page, and it might give you some more valuable information than that. This breaks down each of the individual levels, so it goes by gross. I need to actually organize this table better. But it just kind of says, how many days were buying days, how many days were selling days, the total amount of the ask, total amount of the bid, if it's considered, whichever one is more, right? So distribution, conviction, days. I like counting the amount of days that it spends at a level, gross volume, net volume, all that fun stuff. So like obviously 256, 271, very nice net volume there. Um, Nothing really on this page. Nothing significance. This looked like probably like a auction print that got mixed in there. The net flow versus price divergence. This one looks pretty interesting. Just some mixed stuff, but you caught a lot of this net flow on price coming down, so price down, flow up. In this most recent one, you do have a little bit of apparently slow down, price up in the recent weeks, and you have some of that here right before it just went on this tear. These aren't really predictive. These are just kind of more interesting, and sometimes I think they proceed a run, but like obviously in this case, right, these would have got crushed, right, if you would have taken it. Sometimes it's an interesting timing indicator, like look at all these right here, and then you kind of get an interesting little sell-off. This also looks like it was maybe the start of my off-level data as opposed to all of my data. So again, take that with a grain of salt. New dollars. New dollars I forget to mention on the last one, but it has 0.99 and 0.01 prints. So if we kind of go a little bit in here, this kind of looks at the highs. And this looks at, wow, buy at the highs ask. I don't know why that's red. That shouldn't be red. That should have been a green arrow. But I think that arrow also represents the 9/9s. So yeah, if you look at the 9/9s, it's 15.6 million underneath at the 9s. So we were at 300 there. That would have been well, actually, that's showing 305. I wonder if that was the two. No, there's no way that was the 299 prints because this would have been 299 over here for the first time. So for whatever reason, 305 is a very interesting level. It didn't really push up that first time around off 305, but here, when we cross over 300 for the second time, obviously we went up to the highs here. More recently, not a ton of action on the 9/9s or the 0/1s. Catalyst, what is this? This is also, what do we have at the highs? What kind of news do we have? Short estimate. Ooh, seems kind of low, which is actually, I don't know. That doesn't seem too low. 50%, I guess. Median short, 45%. Looks like, yeah, shorts are getting crushed, obviously. What's very interesting is that this, I think that was a net short from earlier. Maybe that was a short getting just fucked. I don't know. Because right afterwards the price went up, or maybe that was somebody taking a short and then they got squeezed out. That's very possible. That's actually a very interesting theory. I would like to look at the print that caused this. If it was it has like a $50 million print or 50 million share print. I mean, it's most likely a auction print. But if it was a short auction print or if it was a short during the market print, yeah, they got cooked, and that person could have been the reason that short didn't work out. Archer, oh man. Oh man. I don't want to look at this one for too long. Archer makes me cry a little bit. Not really, of course, but it's just, in my opinion, it's just not trading as well as it could, I think. I didn't realize that it looks like it had a little bit of volume interest the last couple days, so that's nice. But we're going to wait for it here. I almost wonder if I should switch to the last 3 months or the last 180 days. I think I'm going to try to do that, maybe, because that might just load things faster, and it might be just more relevant for what we got going on. Because I think really a lot of those questions for this specific session is just for context. We're in what I think people would consider, I don't know, a mini little bear market, a little mini crash. I don't know. I've been sitting on a lot of cash, not trying to flex, but I mean, it's just there's been a lot of these small cap movers that have just gotten absolutely destroyed, right? And uh, unfortunately for the small caps, right, they got destroyed hard, and a lot of people overreact to that. While interestingly enough, the SPY and the triple Q are still relatively strong compared to those shorts, or those small caps. So there's a lot of questions in the market right now, and honestly, I think the best thing to do is just see how it plays out. There's no point in panicking. I mean, I don't know that we're even buying a dip right now. Anyways, Archer. Yeah, it's gross. A lot of sell clusters, some buy clusters. This, wow, what is going on here? Is that off levels then? Wow, look at that. And that was not during a particularly interesting rise. I mean, you're in the $6. You didn't even. You're in the $6. You didn't even reach 7. Yet we went from negative 13 million. Wow. Look at that. Off level. That's off level only. I suppose you have less times that you're getting to the on levels, right? So in a stock like this, it's very possible that the off levels are doing a lot of the work. But I mean, since that time, the on levels kind of are minus 3 million, which is interesting. But I think net, for looking total, yeah. I mean, from negative 14 million, yeah, wow, that looks a lot better than I thought it would. I know there's a few of you guys out there that would like to hear that. Obviously, not investment advice, but that's very interesting. That is very, very. That is a eye-catching discovery there. So we have 429 all the way to 511. Wow, that was a multi-day campaign. They did that quietly too. Wow, very cool. I think, and also look at this. Look at this. I mean, you're getting right before the sell-off, even on the sell-off, right when they sold it off and they got a shit ton of volume, a lot of ask prints. Very interesting. I am not as concerned because this is obviously I don't have the data back here, right? This is only going back to December for whatever reason. Let me make sure that this is continuous. Yeah. Interesting. So I don't know why this looks kind of. Oh, it's because controlling only. Yeah. So this is interesting. So net per level. For some reason, it has some of the older prints in there. I think it's safe to just exclude those. Those should be controlling only, I think. But this doesn't look as great as the chart above it does. I think that's just because you had a big sell-off into that. But I mean, yeah, you have 10 million over here at 575. I think that's all just grouped up, so it's not necessarily that exact level. But yeah, I mean that's very interesting. I think yeah, let's keep an eye on the 575 level here. If we can break 625, so between 575 625, if we can get a trigger there, that could be very interesting. I would be interested to see how that plays out. That might be worth a swing trade. Hopefully by now you guys all know what this chart is. Pretty obvious. Auctions. Auctions can be interesting in a print like this, or in a stock like this. Trying to see how this played out. It looks pretty mixed. You had a $16 million auction there. Was that only $16 million? So 16 million. Why are these? Oh, that's just the cumulative. Yeah, I mean, mixed. I don't know if there's anything we can take away from that. Most important level, allegedly $10.50. Imagine. It's just this. That is just. I'm just assuming it's flawed or old or not necessarily. Accumulation. Interesting that this wouldn't show a stronger streak of net accumulation. This is probably including. Yep, on level nets only. So on level net doesn't have the off levels, but it's nice to see that this on level net here kind of hit. I can't imagine that it hit on level too often during those really low volume days. Price difference, yep, there's that big flow up, price down after this big pullback, and then right here as well. These are very interesting days. I also find it interesting that these days tend to cluster like that. And you have these kind of days too. Take away auction prints, doesn't really change much. Is that a catalyst today? Archer Aviation teams up with Anduril Fuel for next attack aircraft. 20%. Wow, it's fucking pathetic. If that's 20% on the chart, that looks like shit. There's no way that's 20%. Alright. Oh, this is, yeah, that short pokery. That's kind of interesting. So it looks like shorts might have got squeezed, but it looks like, might not be a ton of shorts out there. It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, obviously we would want shorts in this trade so that they would get squeezed out, but anyways, Archer, very interesting. A lot more interesting and optimistic than I would have thought. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to skip a lot of these because a lot of these are dog shit. I'm not even going to entertain AMC. If you really want to see it, fuck you. Obviously, you guys know I love AMD. This shit's a dog. I think this is a very good stock. I think it's very easy for it to take the market share of NVIDIA. I also think that it's just they made a lot of good deals, right? Their back was kind of against the wall when NVIDIA was just going on its tear, and they made a big deal. They made a huge deal with OpenAI, and it ended up looking well. Now it looks like it's done well for them, and we're gonna have to see how it plays out here. But yeah, we'll get back to it. I'm going to try like prepping these pages in advance here on my secondary page or something because this is taking way too long. I'm going to try to just switch back and forth between. Maybe I'll do a levels page on the other one. I don't know. Actually, I kind of like the levels. That is pretty sick. Levels just looks cool, I think. So I'll just show you guys while it's loading too. So levels kind of shows, obviously, where the stock kind of was. This is specifically is trend, so dollars per hour. It's a bit of a proxy. It's a bit of a proxy for highs and lows. It doesn't do the greatest job, but it does some job. So this is trends per hour. You can see it's very obvious that if you spend a little amount of time and you have a large print up there, that it's gonna show some obnoxious dollars per hour. So it's gonna, I think, dilute. It's not that useful of a metric, I think, is what I'm trying to get at. Net flow looks pretty interesting. Look at all that buying right around 522. 560 has $77 million allegedly. It's hit a lot of time there. This is where its time was spent. Ask, bid. Yeah, levels very interesting. Obviously, a lot of this is kind of a mental note here. Those buy and sell clusters, those look like a lot longer buy clusters, and the sell clusters look very short. It's not, doesn't take rocket science to notice that, but I think that's a very interesting playbook here. Let's see. So we have on level cumulative is just ripping. Off level is kind of doing its off level thing. On level, I mean, yeah, that just looks great. I mean, it's just steady. I don't know. I wish, I just wonder, you know, like how, you know, I would have expected maybe a bigger spike somewhere, but I guess this is kind of a decent spike from 588, 100,000 shares to, you know, a couple million, and now we're at like 4 million, right? And this probably isn't an easy stock to acquire. So that's very interesting. I mean, it looks, honestly, this just looks like a campaign of somebody, a true campaign of somebody just giving an intern a button and just saying, press this buy button X amount of times per day and see what happens. Looking at the profile, we have net, and we're going to do controlling only, and it's disgusting. Only it just looks disgusting because we can't see it that well. Oh my god, that actually looks disgusting. The top half of it, obviously, there's just so many levels. Look at how much those asks have hit compared to the bid. Ask is just dominating at the highs above 550. Bid is not bad. I mean, I'm guessing this is the last couple days consequence here, but even in the 450s, it looks good. I think it just skipped over a lot of that. This was probably a auction print. Down here, oh my goodness. Look at that. Look at that spike at 350. Just disgusting. And this is the net shares. So if we just look at cumulative, I mean, it's just wow. I wish I had a way to make that look a little bit less like a hair comb. If we exclude above the ask and below the bid, looks pretty good. It's kind of hard to read it, to be honest. Again, not surprising here. In profit, out of profit. Auction prints, yeah, relatively interesting. It looks very steady. Interesting that we saw this huge, large net auction print at the high, and then it kind of pulled back a little bit, got some bid auction prints. Again, you guys know auction prints. It could be buying, could be selling. I think just the more important part is magnitude and size. Level reputation. I don't know how to read that. Not going to try. Accumulation distribution. That's kind of interesting. I guess, you know, after the sell-off, I don't, again, this is all on-level stuff only. If we take that out, if we can somehow... Yeah, I mean, it just, it looks pretty steady. Like, it doesn't look, I need to learn more about what this means, and I can't really, you know, explain or teach things to you guys that I don't know what it means. That would waste everybody's time. As you can see, this is obviously one of those spots where the cumulative price went up, and you know what? I don't like this. Why is the cumulative off level actually positive here, but it's negative up there? That's a problem. That should not be the case. And I'm gonna ask Claude to investigate right now. So I'm gonna say on the website all-time swing page, the net flow versus price divergence. Go ahead and skip ahead to the next doc. I think I'm just going to call it at this one and not edit this out because I'm lazy. Off levels on AMD, for example, the last year show a net cumulative positive as opposed to the, I'll just say positive of 8 million roughly. I'm just skipping and going down here. Look at these. I like these kind of little things. Yeah, shorts are getting fucked, if there even is any. But the cumulative net positioning is negative on the other chart. Why is that? Okay, I can go ahead. I will go to, I mean, honestly, Amazon's boring. I'm already at so much time here. I'm gonna try to keep this to interesting stocks that I know you guys care about. We'll go to Baba. Even though I think this is a boring stock, but I know some of you And maybe one of the few people that will watch this video might appreciate it. Oh, I didn't realize. So if I want to change the bob on there, showed up here. Okay, that's just the bid. That explains that. Net flow, very nice actually. Wow, $1 or $120. That's a nice net flow spot. I do like the flow here. Obviously, you have a little bit of sell, but down here, but it's not as strong. And allegedly, we hit a $36 million ask print at 9:33 on June 26th, right at the bottom. Shout out to those people that got a fucking steal right there. Hits, wow, and they bought a lot. They spent a lot of time down there. Obviously, good for them. That's a good trade. Yeah, and look at a little relative. So they usually all of these will overlap pretty nicely, but you'll usually see hits and time spent be about the same chart. This is not the same chart. They did not spend as much time there, obviously, but they hit that level more in Baba. So once it hit under 100, they liked it a lot. That is very interesting. Here's wow, a lot of back and forth, kind of equal distance on the buy and sell clusters on the days. We had our big sell cluster here at $112. It looks like it's a relatively significant price, but then you had good follow-up days under once you got back over 100. I'm now skeptical of this chart, so if you're skipping ahead, I'm investigating why this chart may or may not be good. I think the on level on this chart is accurate, but I think the off level might not be accurate. This is interesting again here, kind of once we got under 120, at least if this is a true off level, we saw that spike. Again, off level, that's not really surprising to see it track like that. On level, I'm surprised. I am and I'm not. I don't quite believe in this stock as much as some other people do, but I mean, since March, 316, we're at minus 1.6 million. I guess we're still positive since March, so that's a good takeaway. I know this one doesn't trade as much, so that's interesting. That is interesting. 180. I wonder. I don't know that that's a consequence maybe of that being a limited data, but where was that? I've been up here. Wow, maybe not. That might have been early data, but maybe not. Obviously a lot of action up here in the 180, and you do have some nice buy. And it's a decent distribution. You kind of see some some zones that get more love than others. If we take off controlling only, it's more heavily favored on this left side here. But again, I don't fully give those off levels in a stock like this the most attention. Excluding above the ask and below the bid, it actually looks like it favors the ask side a little bit more here, at least. I don't care as much about the red on this specific version of the chart. This is interesting. Under 100 allegedly, so 96 is saying now net minus 140k. But up here on that other levels chart, it was showing, yeah, it's dumb. Obviously, a lot of shorts are in profit right now. Estimating 76% of shorts are in profit. Could be a squeeze. Could be a squeeze coming. I don't know. Auctions. These are interesting auctions. You kind of see a little bit of a consistent auction sell prints. Again, not known if these are sell or buy. During this big downtrend, right? During these past couple weeks, you've seen a lot of auction prints that are showing up on the tape as some sort of a sell. You kind of seen that a little bit before. There's some buys in there. Again, auctions. A lot of it isn't about interpretation, right? Sometimes those might not even be sell. It's just more or less. It's interesting that there's interest there. That's what I like. And we're gonna skip ahead most of this. Let's just see the last. Yeah, so we had some flow up, price down action here. Kind of proceeded when it went under 100. A lot of flow up, price down, actually, it appears. But then we recently got a lot of price up, flow down clusters. We'll see how that plays out. But here it's kind of interesting, cumulative on level and the off level kind of look like they did before. Yeah, obviously shorts are winning, but I think there's allegedly around 4 million shares short. So there's some real squeeze potential here. And with those prints up at 180, you never really know what might happen. Getting off of BABA, let's go to BE, Bloom Energy. I love Bloom Energy. Getting crushed a little bit, but that's okay. Net flow, pretty mixed. It looks like it's leaning red, but it's kind of hard to tell with so many levels. Obviously, those are good. Let's see, hits. Yeah, we just haven't spent a ton of time down here. You know, yeah, wow. I mean, that's just a time looks pretty equally distributed among the middle of the pack here. That's almost pretty interesting how up here, right, where the highs, you get your good buying, and then we spent so much time here, and then obviously in our low breakout, we've not nearly as much time. Trend, net flow, time spent, it's all pretty interesting there. Good couple back and forths on this. Surprising amount of cell clusters. I think these two cell clusters surprise me. I'm interested in that. Let's see. So off levels, again, not really the biggest concern of mine. We're going to eliminate those. On levels looks good. Looks good. Looks like it's tracking. On levels looked like it even was kind of lagging price before, and then it kind of preceded price a little bit. That was a very interesting on level bump here around this date. And it never really reached over those peaks of cumulative on level controlling prints. But we're still about 200,000 net shares along. I'd be interested to see that as a percentage of float. I don't know why. I think that'd be kind of cool. But I like that. Again, I don't know this off level. Honestly, this off level is actually not that bad, especially considering that it's mostly two prints. It's sideways, which is honestly, you don't see that a lot. Off levels usually is determined one way or the other, so that's very interesting. So cumulative prints looks good, actually. I think 290, 300 area. Looks like there's more buying in that area than the others. On the sell side, 275. A little bit of space here, empty space maybe to run or spend some time. If we do all the prints, it looks about the same. Looks pretty good though. I don't mind that. I think these are some important levels back up here. Obviously, wherever this is, if I can hover over at 280. Yeah, I think 280 is good. I mean, I don't see anything else really worth much of a thought. About 55%, I think, of the shares are short. Of course, that's just an estimate. That's just including all the buy and sell shares. So that could be people selling long positions. Auctions, not a lot of action. We had a couple sell ones, which is very interesting after this big push up to 300. Maybe they knew. Maybe they got out. Haven't really seen a lot of action on the auction prints since. Going down to flow divergence. Yeah, look at that. Flow up on all this price down recently. Kind of preceded this move prior, which is interesting. So, and you only had singular days of flow down, price up. Very interesting. So, who knows? That is BE. What else do we got? Anything? Nothing. All right, shout out to our Bloom Energy lovers. We'll go right into one of our Bloom Energy lovers, secondary mistress, CRWV. I think I was actually just looking at this too. Do I have this up on here now already? Net flow, CoreWeave. Yeah, the highs are still good. I've liked the highs. I think we saw 138 or something a while ago. Highs have some buys. Highs got buys. There's some buying in this little cluster. Obviously it kind of got forced down. Oh, look at that. I like when the hits like this don't correlate with the time spent. So these hits, I'll say this, maybe this, what level is that? Jesus, 90? This 90 level could be very interesting. We're at what? Oh my God, $80 right now? Jeez. But I mean, look at that. I think that could be a potential runway. I don't necessarily know. And we're quite a ways away from the VWAP, which is, I have some weird VWAP calculations going on. This thing is not done, but we will force it through anyways. Alright, level walls. That looks kind of interesting. And CoreWeave, obviously green through a lot of these times. That's when we're excited about it. A lot of red lately, of course. On level looks good. I think I was showing Austin Crest this. I think this looks great for an on level. All things considered, to consider that we're at a price that let's just say this price right here, $80, that we haven't seen since April. Yet our cumulative on level went from 28,000 to right over a million, and we went all the way up here. We've retained a lot of the on level prints, is what it looks like to me. Net per level, yep, that's about what we'd expect here. I think there's something to this, like there's like a line here. In my head, I'm just seeing a line. I don't know what to do with it, but excluding above the ask and below the bid, it even looks even better. And if we do controlling levels only, I think that looks great. Right here, we're at a very interesting spot, actually. This is kind of neat. Looks like there's a big flip on ask above, bid below. I don't know. I don't know what that means. We'll have to see how that plays out. 80%, I think, of shorts are making money right now. Man, auction looks crazy. A lot of consistent auction buys, a little bit consistent auction sells. This large auction buy preceded a big move. This large auction buy preceded, again, a relatively good move. This large auction sell preceded this big move. This one, yeah. Interesting. Again, this is where I don't know. Something might be going wrong with the website here. I've put in a request to my IT person named Claude, and interestingly enough, flow down, price up, kind of towards these secondary pushes. It's unfortunate. We had flow up, price down action here, and we had a couple flow down, price ups. Huh. Interesting. That seems like that net shares just seems odd. But anyways, CoreWeave looks good. I'm still a believer in CoreWeave. I just think I just think it took a hit along with the rest of everything that's been going on. Just for a sense of keeping things short, because we are at, what are we at? Like an hour in already, something 50 minutes. Jesus. We're gonna go to fuel cell, my baby, my favorite. Net flow, some good ones around 30. Interesting sells around the highs. I don't think I'm surprised by this. I think I think I was only expecting 30, but then just the way it kind of acted here, I don't know. I'm not surprised by this. Obviously, it would be nice. It looks like there is some buying at the highs, but uh, here's a more traditional hits. You'll see there's a little bit of a hit range here at the high. Time spent's mostly at the bottom. Obviously, there's very little time spent at the top. Net flow looks decent. Looks good, I suppose. Obviously, I'm biased. I think a lot of you guys know that I like Fuel Cell a lot. I don't necessarily know that they're the best company, but as a stock. The on levels here, this doesn't look great. I'll admit. Looks like everything that they took, they just gave back pretty quickly. So it looks like they just got in. They might already be out, for all I fucking know. The off levels look better than the on levels, I think, right? No, the off levels look like shit. Net flow doesn't look horrible. Obviously, if you're selling at your high, I suppose that selling could all be from those people in the in the 30s. Um, doesn't look horrible. Doesn't look good. This has me thinking about my position on it. Auction, that's an interesting one. This one has had some interesting auction activity here, right? There's just some people that I think knew this was happening, and then whatever the fuck this guy is, I don't know what he's got going on, but I still think it's a good stock. Again, not recommendation or anything, just commentary. And net flow versus price divergence, not much. Flow up or flow down. A couple flow down, price ups. I think I lost some data in those days, maybe. Yeah, look at that. 5 days, minus 39% after seeing that new high. It's about when everybody got fucked in this market. Everybody got fucking cooked. All right, so we have fuel cell. What else do we want to see? What do the people want? I don't think this is a good stock, but HIMS, fuck it, I guess. We'll look at HIMS. Gross. For the sake of time on HIMS, I'm just gonna spend it on here. Kind of interesting, I suppose. It's very violent, and in terms of looks like it flips depending on the level. That's kind of interesting. Hits, time spent, about the same. Trend per hour, not surprising. That's not really a useful stat anymore. We'll go to. We'll see if that loaded by any chance. No, I don't. If you guys want to see HIMS, just let me know. INTC. This one has been a fan favorite. Yeah, everybody knows buying at the highs. 140, and then we saw those 124 bids that were called out by Austin. Great call out. It was just they hit 124 a couple times. I think it was around here, and then they just got destroyed. Hits again. You're getting a lot of hits at the highs, which is cool to see. Time spent, yeah, hits versus time spent differential there is good. Yeah, interesting. This is looking 2 months back. Net flow. That I like that. I don't know why, but I mean that just looks. You're almost getting more and more and more, and then it's just a sudden flip, right? This is telling me there's still new buying at the highs. Obviously we're at like 100 now, which is crazy, considering that's like way down here. So I mean we've been getting cooked, but in this general area, yeah, it's just all sell. Maybe it continues that way. I don't know, but it's definitely an interesting perspective. I don't know why this isn't really showing. Maybe it's not fully loaded. We'll take off the off levels. Wow, on levels in INTC. I think this is just going to keep happening. Yeah, it's going to keep happening until I finish loading. That looks good, though. That looks like it's tracking the price very, very well. Sorry about this, guys. This is weird that it's taking so long. This is just that interesting of a stock. I mean, look at that. That's all the time I'm really going to have for those, isn't it? Oh, volume profile, wow. I mean, this is not surprising to anybody, but like, yeah, below 60, it was just a ton of sell, about what we have right now. At the highs, we have more buys at one of these levels than we did before. Very interesting. And then obviously, I think we've just seen, when you get something like this, little consolidation, you're going to see all that sell. Auction prints. Very interesting. For whatever reason, negative, then just a long series of positives. Unless for some reason these are flipped, which is entirely possible, just based on the reporting. I think I just need to get out of this page. I think it's just never going to load, unfortunately. But looks good. I like the way the controlling prints track it. Unfortunately, I'm going to move on here to IONQ. And just for my future self-reference, I am at the 57-minute and 30-second point in the video. I can timestamp that for later. Here is the levels. Wow. That actually looks very attractive at the highs. Oh man, it's almost like stocks pull back. That's crazy. Look at all those bursts up here. They're just huge. Huge bursts. But once we got under 55, it's just been absolutely cooked. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Just no buying in sight, man. No covering whatsoever. I mean, maybe this, but that is brutal. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to try a hard reset here on my page. Maybe that's part of it. Or this could be the recording's way of telling me to fucking stop. So we'll stop it there then, I guess. Right before an hour, I suppose that's a good time. If you would like to see me break down a specific ticker that you know is in the list, shout out you guys. If you're actually listening, dude, unreal. God bless your soul, man. The tape isn't dead, but if you want me to see me break down anything else, let me know. As always, I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Happy trading. Stay disciplined out there, man. Yeah, it's a choppy market. It's a tough market, and I think things aren't directionally clear right now. It's just, play it with caution, play it smart. Don't overreact. Yeah. Thanks, guys.